Hey, what do you think the #1 issue in the Alberta provincial election is? Is it the largest deficit in Alberta government history? Is it the more than 50 tax hikes? Is it the massive spending? Is it, for example, the price of oil? Something that is not within the province's control? Is it the lack of pipelines? I mean, there are a lot of things that are animating the debate, but that's not what the Calgary Herald thinks is important. The newspaper of record for Calgary, the oil and gas city, wrote a lead editorial the other day called "On the Hot Seat." Oh, what's going on? Is Jim Prentice in trouble? Yeah, according to the Calgary Herald, he's being very bad because he is not, get this, he is not leaving the Alberta provincial campaign and taking 2 days to fly to Quebec to go to a global warming meeting. It is not April Fool's Day. The newspaper of record in Calgary, the energy capital of Canada, is condemning the Alberta Premier for not leaving the campaign to go to sit around a table with a bunch of climate change, global warming extremists beating up Alberta. This is a real article in their editorial that they apparently believe. I don't know if this was written even in Alberta or if it was written in Toronto. I do not know. Maybe it was written by David Suzuki himself, but it's quite something. I want to quote from it, but first let me show you the picture accompanying this editorial on the website. See, this is a picture of the kind of global warming activism that the Calgary Herald wants Jim Prentice to be a part of. The caption on the website picture says, "Thousands of people march for a better environment Saturday in Quebec City." Well, no, actually, that's not what the sign says. I don't know a lot of French, but I know how to read the phrase "non au sable bitumineux." That's French for no oil sands. They're not saying, let's make the environment greener. They're saying, shut down Alberta's chief economic engine. And the Calgary Herald is so excited about that, they want to send the Premier to be, what, a punching bag? No, they actually want the Premier of Alberta to join in on the anti-Alberta gang up. And the reasoning is just fascinating. First of all, the Calgary Herald thinks that the #1 issue, let me just quote them, this is Calgary Herald, "Climate change is the most important environmental issue facing Canada." No, it's not. It's not in fact. It's not in the polls. It's not in the political dialogue. In the fevered minds of whatever editorial intern wrote this, maybe, but that is just simply not a fact. But what's incredible is that the Calgary Herald wants Prentice to go to this summit as a preliminary for a 2-week global warming conference in Paris later this year. See, every year all the global warming bureaucrats and lawyers and lobbyists, they move from city to city, Paris, Marrakesh, Rio de Janeiro, Kyoto. They go to these luxury 5-star resorts for a 2-week reunion, really, paid for by you and I, where they cook up schemes to raise taxes. They condemn the West, but they never condemn China, India, OPEC countries. They always attack the Western liberal democracies, especially Canada, which is quite something because, as you can see on this graph, Canada's greenhouse gas emissions have actually declined under Stephen Harper, even though our population and economy have never been bigger. But back to the editorial. This is what was actually written in the Calgary Herald. I mean, this isn't even a weird opinion. This is weird grasps of reality. Take a listen. "BC has settled on a carbon tax and Saskatchewan prefers to focus on green technologies." Whatever intern wrote this in Toronto, in New York, wherever this editorial was written, do they really think that Saskatchewan's economy is a green technology, solar panel, wind turbine province? Do they not know that Saskatchewan actually has a larger oil and gas industry than Alberta's if you take out the oil sands? There is more fracking going on in Saskatchewan than there is conventional oil and gas in Alberta. It's huge in oil. It's huge in fracked natural gas. It's huge in coal. It's huge in potash. It's huge in uranium. That is what has made Saskatchewan rich. Do these know-nothings at the Herald really believe what they're writing, or are they just desperate to smear their home province? I want to leave you with one last line from the Calgary Herald. I know I'm talking too much about them. I'm just stunned that this crap would appear in the Calgary Herald, and even more so that people would pay for it. Last quote from the editorial. This Prentice not going to the conference, quote, leaves the unpleasant impression with the rest of the country that the Alberta government doesn't think that dealing with climate change is a priority. Well, it's probably true, because I don't think that global warming is a priority. It's certainly not a scientific priority. As you know, the United Nations' own Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has reported year after year that there has been no measurable global warming in 18 years, so it's not a priority for them. But does the Calgary Herald actually think other provinces hate the oil sands? Now, they may say they do, but they love the oil sands. The other provinces actually love the oil sands more than Alberta does. See, Alberta does all the work and pays billions of dollars more each year into Canada than it gets out. And all the provinces that are so outstanding in the minds of the Calgary Herald, they take that oil sands money in the form of transfer payments and equalization. Quebec takes billions of dollars a year. Atlantic Canadian provinces take up to 40% of their government revenues in transfers through the federal government from Alberta, BC, and Saskatchewan, the oil and gas provinces. So no, Calgary Herald intern writer based in Toronto or wherever you are, the other provinces do not hate the oil sands. They love them. For TheRebel.media, I'm Ezra Levant.